Arena is one episode that is a victim of its own success. This episode is another that entered the public consciousness, especially the association with Vasquez Rocks, and its iconic form being the site of Kirk's famous heroics, henceforth referred to informally as Kirk's Rock. This episode has consequently been robbed of that which has made it memorable to the public in the first place, and become reduced to a joke. It remains a polarizing episode, embarrassing on the one hand, classic on the other. Arena actually raises the question of how much does historicity matter in judging the quality of art, a subject we'll have to examine over the course of this video. For now, let's approach the episode with fresh eyes, not thinking about what we know is coming, but taking it on its own merits as presented, and then look back in the end with our experiences. The episode opens with a jovial note, the Star Trio ready to beam down to Cestus 3 to have dinner with a Commodore, and Kirk and Bones are practically drooling over the idea of real food.
Doctor, you are a sensualist. You bet your pointed ears I am.
I just hope the 3 hip flasks I'm bringing will be enough if they run out of wine. Spock's concerned that the Commodore has specifically asked that Kirk bring along his best tactical people as well, but the others brush it off. What matters is food, booze, and more food. Well, instead of arriving in a colony, they arrive in the middle of a bombed-out ruin, which is horrifying. I bet dinner's completely ruined now. They quickly take cover, knowing that with the place still smoking and the fact they were deliberately summoned here, this is a perfect ambush situation. Luckily, there's life signs.
Shock, radiation burns, internal injuries for certain. He's in a bad way, Captain.
Keep him alive, Bones. I want to know what's been happening here.
I didn't see anything, actually. Oh, well then don't sweat it if he bites it, Bones. Spock finds signs of the aggressors, cold-blooded beings. Somebody should investigate. We do have a red shirt.
Early.
Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Captain, I see something!
You could set your watch by these guys. When this is quickly followed by shelling, Kirk decides it might be better to run away. Only the Enterprise is under attack now. So there's no beaming up for them until that problem is sorted out. They'll need to withdraw to a shelter and try to come up with some kind of plan. Being Kirk, it's the manliest thing that he could think of course. Try to cross this war zone alone to reach the arsenal and retrieve the weapons capable of taking out the bad guys. He even does a tuck and roll into a crater while dodging a mortar shell. I'm surprised his shirt didn't rip, not from the force of the blast, but just from sheer testosterone. Of course, there's only so much that even the Kirk can accomplish, so when Sulu reports that neither the phasers nor photon torpedoes can penetrate the enemy's shields, Kirk orders the Enterprise to break orbit. Bad news for the wounded guy.
How is he, Doctor?
He'll be dead in half an hour if we don't get him some decent care.
I'm honest with myself enough to admit that that's not me. Spock heads out there after Kirk, who has a case of blue balls right now.
Toward the high ground.
I am not too proud to make that joke. As you see, Spock tosses away his tricorder just before it explodes, either because the enemy was intelligent enough to detect his scanning and using a feedback loop to cause it to overload, or the tricorder is actually a Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Anyway, on advice from the one surviving nobody, Kirk fires and does some pretty serious damage to the nearby mountains, sorting the situation down here and sending the other ships scurrying off. After sending down 30 medical personnel to check and take care of any survivors, the rest beam aboard and begin the pursuit. The guy Bones had been treating says pretty much what we expected. A ship showed up out of nowhere and inexplicably began attacking, with total disregard over the non-military nature of the colony, and the message to come to the colony was fake. Kirk is incensed and is convinced that this was specifically done to draw on the Enterprise and destroy it, leaving the area open for invasion. Spock thinks that there might be other reasons, but Kirk is not in the mood for anything that doesn't involve sticking a photon torpedo up someone's ass. The plan is to track the ship down and destroy it before it can return to wherever it came from, leaving whatever enemy this is in the dark about what happened and cautious going forward, uncertain what the hell might be waiting for them if they intrude again. So what we have had so far is an unprovoked and brutal attack, one Kirk sees as the beginning of a potentially existential threat that endangered his ship, his crew, and his hairpiece. In response, he is single-mindedly focused on catching and destroying the aggressors, willing to push the ship beyond its limits to do so, and while insisting that this is strategically vital, having hints that this is being done partially out of a desire for revenge, refusing to consider any possibility for his enemies other than being murdering savages undeserving of his mercy. Considering what the episode would be famous for, this begins in a very dark place, with a portrait of our hero more extreme than we're used to, and yet understandable given what he has experienced. Their pursuit is interrupted by a nearby solar system that is scanning them, but no sign of hostility, so Kirk ignores it in favor of the alien ship that's currently slowing down. A relief to everyone concerned at how ridiculously fast the Enterprise has been going this whole time. Kirk is pleased and prepared to kick the stuffing out of them, doing everything short of riding a photon torpedo, waving a cowboy hat in his excitement. Then, all of a sudden, they get knocked out of warp 2.
Mr. Scott, report. Dead captain, locked up. Frozen tight.
High and dry, fresh out of luck, behind the 8-ball, up shit creek without a paddle. Good, so long as everything is all right then. Whatever is causing all of this is from that solar system, which should be impossible from this distance, so either Spock is wrong, and I wouldn't formulate any plan based on that premise, or this is some being or beings of unfathomable power. The latter is soon confirmed when the Metrons call up to complain about Kirk and the aliens showing up to do violence to each other, something Metrons disapprove of, but recognizes in the nature of others. So rather than standing by while the two ships pound the crap out of each other, they're going to arrange for a contest.
I don't understand.
You will be provided with a recording translating device, in hopes that a chronicle of this contest will serve to dissuade others of your kind from entering our system.
Get a load of this windbag, huh? This is for all the marbles. Kirk versus the captain of the other ship, the species called the Gorn. Winner and his ship go on their merry way. Loser and his ship are destroyed. The latter done to ensure that the crew doesn't start fighting all over again without their captain. Although the Metrons could maybe wait to see if the losers try anything first. Anyway, Kirk and the other are taken off to the planet. Now, realize we are just short of being halfway through the episode. Kirk has been dealing with this faceless adversary for so long, and now we have put a face to them. And while it's not the same power as seeing the shark in Jaws for the first time, it's the same principle. It's just a shocking image. Here I am, and I'm a monster. We have seen up until now that it is capable of cold-hearted murder from afar, a ruthless and cunning adversary. Now we see it in the flesh exactly as the kind of beast we expected, a killing machine. And Kirk must battle it alone and unarmed. Pants to be darkened. The beast rips off a tree branch, so Kirk leaps into action to get one of his own. Oh, nice choice. What's the plan? Use your little dowsing rod there to find some water and drown it? Kirk quickly tosses his stick aside. Even he can see that it's going to be useless in the fight, and he's forced to fight it hand to hand. The intent is clearly to show how unstoppable this creature is, but no matter how generous you want to be, this is not impressive. Unless Kirk is in the Matrix, I don't think the audience is going to buy that. This did wind up going down in pop culture as one of the more kitsch moments of the show. In fact, Shatner wound up parodying this in a commercial a few years ago.
Oh, not again. Hold on just a minute.
I'd poke fun at Shatner, but frankly, between my workaholic nature and love of fried foods, I doubt I'll even live to be 82, never mind look that good. Anyway, no brute force is going to work for Kirk, so he hauls ass out of there. He has precious few options, though, so he decides to narrate. That's something he's always been good at. Only, the device that he thinks is just there to record also is a transmitter, so that Gorn hears everything he says, and seems to take umbrage at Kirk's belief it will require his strength of mind overcoming the Gorn's brawn. Not that Kirk is underestimating the Gorn, of course. They were clever enough to lure the Enterprise into a trap. Whatever their appearance might be, these are not animals that he's dealing with. Kirk looks around and passes over various diamonds and gems in favor of a boulder perched on the edge of a cliff, and despite a lifetime of Roadrunner cartoons, decides to roll it over the edge to drop on the Gorn. Holy crap, I honestly have to admit, I was expecting it to hit a trampoline and fly back up at Kirk. But sure enough, it worked. Except that it didn't. The Gorn was just knocked silly and gets up, pissed off as it shrugs off the boulder that just fell about 60 feet onto it. Kirk can't believe this crap. He just runs off, right into the trap that the Gorn has set, which puts him under a slightly smaller boulder and leaves him a sitting duck for the slee stack. He manages to avoid its stab and hobble off, but I think at the very least the Gorn is ahead on points. In fact, the Metrons call up to let the Enterprise crew know just how badly things are going.
We believe you have very little time left.
We appeal to you in the name of civilization.
Jesus frickin' Vulcan, what a dink. Still, the Metrons are somewhat receptive to Bones' appeal, so they allow the Enterprise crew to watch what is unfolding, which is Kirk picking up some powder and putting it in his mouth. So at least he's filling them with confidence right now. It's also when Kirk learns that the Gorn has heard everything he said, because the Gorn suggests Kirk just give up the impossible task of trying to kill him and just come out here and let the Gorn just give him a quick and merciful death. Kirk had his fill of their mercy on Cestus III, but the Gorn is indignant. That colony was an invasion into their space. From their point of view, that outpost was to give the Federation outsiders a foothold in their territory, so they removed that threat. Bones and Spock are aghast, not at the accusation, but the implication that this could be true, that they intruded unwittingly and provoked all of this. More on that in a moment. Well, Kirk is not a fan of dying, so he gathers together some things. A big piece of sort of bamboo, some big-ass diamonds, and all the chemicals that he needs to make simple gunpowder, so he can bash together a primitive cannon. That finally seems to be enough to put the critter down, so while it's helpless, Kirk scoops up its obsidian knife to put it down for good, but tosses it aside at the end, wondering if that attack was, in the Gorn's mind, defending themselves. We can debate this point certainly, whether or not the attack was justified or not. To me, while the motivation is understandable, it doesn't make it justified. That doesn't mean I don't agree with Kirk with what he's doing here, though. The point isn't that the action was correct or not. The point is that it was not the act of a monster. It was a sign of the stupid decisions that intelligent beings sometimes make out of fear and anger, like what Kirk himself had felt. The Gorn's first response was, "This is an invasion and must be met with merciless force." And Kirk responded in kind, "This is an invasion and must be met with merciless force." Each had a valid reason in their own mind, a case to be made. The point Kirk is making now is that all this hatred back and forth is going to achieve nothing but more of the same. It's like the point on Babylon 5 that Kosh made to Jakar about the Narn and the Centauri. It no longer matters who started it. What matters is ending it before everyone is dead for past hates. Kirk's decision is to have every right to kill, but not to. He is a savage who has decided, "I will not kill today." In response, one of the Metrons shows up, decked out in a combination disco shower curtain and guy going to a party dressed as his grandmother. He compliments Kirk's willingness to show mercy and sends Kirk back so he can think about what he did. The end. The post-episode follow-up. Annoying character goes to whoever thought that Kirk karate chop fight was a good thing. The fights are usually questionable, but that looked like someone was being bribed by the mob. We have a like unto an amoeba award for the Metrons and their godlike powers. Final score for Arena is 7 out of 10, although in historical context it would probably be closer to a 9. The episode's primary weakness is the pacing dropping off in the second half. However, this episode's structure is overall rather good and explains how this became such a recognizable classic. While the fight certainly might cement it for the kitsch, that probably wouldn't have taken hold if it hadn't so effectively grabbed hold of the audience and held on to them. The fact it has become so well known that all mystery is absent is to the ultimate detriment of the episode, allowing the weaknesses to be more glaring than they deservedly should be, but at the same time they are undeniably present. It still is a well-done classic. It's just that its own popularity, combined with its datedness, has robbed it somewhat of its effectiveness.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
You keep getting me killed. I thought you had my back.